He was the undisputed World Wrestling King, boasting 23 straight wins and a massive fortune. But before spending a dime, Truk-kun sent him straight to his ancestors. Dead and broke. No money, no girlfriend, and now Choi Hui-sok is scammed by a shady goddess into another world. Claiming a labor shortage, she promised beautiful wives and god-tier summoning powers to lure him in. She sweet-talked him with infinite strength, then threatened him the moment he showed any hesitation. Obey or be reborn as a mangy dog. With no choice, the man reluctantly accepted her quest. He thought he would be a legendary hero, but it was all a trap. A soul-crushing scam. Forced into goblin slave labor, he hit rock bottom. Now, Choi just sits in the dirt, humiliated. Where was the grand adventure she promised? He looked around, completely lost in this nightmare. His cellmate dropped a bombshell. They were trapped inside the Demon King's primary military stronghold. The man laughed mockingly. Any heroes left alive in this hellhole? He shouted to the rafters. The prison exploded with desperate cries. Hundreds of heroes emerged, all falling for the same trap. Commander Jun and the ruthless guard Ross kept watch. Escape seemed impossible in this demon den. His neighbor started sobbing. It's all that 𝑺𝒐𝒍𝒅's fault. She sent us to the wrong place. Instead of a peaceful starter village, these rookies were dropped directly into the depths of hell. Choi lay defeated on the floor. Suddenly, he remembered the goddess's mention of a system. Like magic, his status window flickered to life right before his very eyes. His physical stats were elite, but his hero points were stuck at a pathetic 0. Suddenly, the system fairy appeared without a word, ready to address his burning questions. She explained that hero points were the master key to a life of luxury and ease. She lectured him on quest rewards and how to spend points for the ultimate god-tier experience. Enough was enough. Choi reached out and crushed her hand with his overwhelming physical strength. She shrieked in agony as his cold fury boiled over. His face was a mask of rage. His murderous gaze terrified her into silence. She did not dare utter another word in his presence. I do not care about your points. You deserve a brutal lesson for scabbing me like this. Moments later, the fairy was tied up and dangling from a tree like a cheap decoration. Sorry. I spilled coffee on the magic circle while snacking, she stammered, shaking with fear. Now she must serve him until the Demon King falls, despite finishing her internship years ago. Choi tossed a branch aside and crawled back into bed with a look of pure boredom. Save the world? Forget it. Not interested, he muttered, pulling the blanket over his head. She panicked at his laziness. I just want a quiet, normal life here, he replied coldly. She untied herself and tried flattery. Many heroes choose this, but you have ~S potential. That does not mean I have to work, he snapped. It is not my responsibility. She pleaded desperately, but before she could finish, Choi cut her off with a sharp glare. I am done with the fighting life. Good night. He left her standing there, completely shell-shocked. She fumed, thinking he was just a violent meathead. Then, her memories of the temple returned. She recalled screaming at the gods, refusing to be Choi Hui-sok's personal system assistant. I made a mistake, but forcing me to serve him again is just too much. A divine voice thundered. My decision is final. An assistant must endure everything with their hero. Now go, 𝑺𝒐𝒍𝒅. Journey to the demon fortress where Choi Hui-sok currently resides. She screamed as the light swallowed her. The goddess was sending her straight into the abyss. Do not return until the mission is complete, the voice commanded as she vanished into thin air. She wept and clawed at the portal, terrified of being thrown into the filthy human realm. Back in reality, Choi did not even look her way as he spoke with a cold tone. An assistant obeys their master's every word, right? She grumbled, forced to accept her fate. It's settled then, he declared, eyes gleaming with a strange light. Fate has spoken. You're joining my escape plan. Suddenly, a thunderous bang shook the walls. The dungeon floor vibrated as Choi scrambled up, frantically hiding his makeshift ropes just as the heavy iron door was kicked open. A mob of goblins stormed in, led by Jack, who sneered arrogantly. Wake up, you pieces of meat! Rachel burst into a fit of desperate sobbing. Can I use invisibility? Choi wondered, eyeing the goblin warily. Morning roll call was over. Why was this bastard back for more trouble? Jack laughed mockingly from the doorway. Lord Jun summons you. Moments later, Choi found himself standing in Jun's private quarters. I heard Jack's been riding you like a horse, Jun scoffed, his voice laced with disdain. Both Choi and Rachel stared in pure, stunned confusion. Apparently, Jack had been praising Choi's tireless work ethic. Choi glanced at the blushing goblin perched atop his head, feeling utterly disgusted. He couldn't believe this monster was actually complimenting him. "I thought you were just another delusional human," Jun continued, his gaze narrowing. "But your diligence is impressive." Jun smirked, offering a hand. "How about it? Do you want to become my slave overseer?" Rachel's jaw hit the floor. Choi forced a fake, submissive smile, though his mind was racing. What kind of twisted game was this? Jun explained that labor productivity had been slipping. Rachel hissed in a panicked whisper. "You're not actually going to say yes, right? Reject him! Tell him no!" She screamed under her breath, her face flushing with rage. How can a hero bow to a demon? She couldn't fathom a legendary warrior serving a mere lackey of the Demon King. Jack flinched at her outburst, and even Jun looked surprised. Choi kept his head bowed low, hiding the fire in his eyes from the surrounding demons. Then, he spoke. "Thank you, everyone. I accept. I'll make sure these slaves work harder than ever," Choi promised. Rachel flew around his head in a frantic, tearful rage. "No! Stop this!" She sobbed hysterically, her face a mess of tears and snot, devastated by his betrayal. But Jun just laughed, his mood suddenly brightening. "Excellent. You're much better than I first thought," Jun said, patting his shoulder. "Keep this up, and I'll reward you with something special. I might even write you a recommendation for the Demon King's elite guard. Now, be gone." Choi left, his heart secretly mourning his lost freedom. Goodbye, escape plan, he thought bitterly. Yet, just days later, Choi's voice boomed across the demon castle under a bright, clear sky. "We are the glorious army of the great Demon King. We crush and devour all who stand in our path," he chanted with terrifying energy. "Offer your souls to our master." He barked at the line of slaves. "Hey, you. Move your feet. Are you deaf or just lazy?" Tossing an apple in his hand, Choi smirked down at the workers. "At this pathetic rate, we'll never hit today's quota. Get to work." Suddenly, a familiar system window flashed. Notification. "Through prolonged leadership, your hidden stat, prestige, has increased." He stared at the apple, taking a crunching bite. "Oh, this is good." Choi raised his arms, laughing like a madman. "Being overseer is the best." The slaves below whispered in shock. Has the hero finally lost his mind? Is this the man who was supposed to save us? Rachel screamed in his ear. "Choi, you've gone completely insane. We're going to be in huge trouble if you don't stop this act." Choi gave her a sly, villainous look. "Shh, just trust the process. A common sparrow like you could never understand a phoenix like me." He pointed a finger at a fallen slave. "Hey, you! Why is your lunch still on the ground? Stop wasting time and get back to work." The system pinged again. Lord Jun's favorability has increased. He was only a few steps away from reaching his ultimate objective. Choi turned toward Jun's balcony, saluting with a greasy, fawning smile. "I live to serve you, Lord Jun. Thank you for your grace." Rachel was fuming. "Hero, you're a disgrace. I thought you wanted to escape this hellhole and continue our grand adventure." Choi rubbed his aching temples. "Look, I'm just following the system's lead. Isn't that what a hero is supposed to do? Follow the quest?" Rachel was baffled. "But a quest to increase a demon's favor? You expect me to believe the system would actually demand that?" Choi snapped back, his voice dripping with frustration. "You want me to read the quest description out loud?" "It's right here in the window," Rachel countered. "This makes no sense. The system is a neutral program. It shouldn't be giving you such immoral, biased tasks." "But it's the truth," Choi interrupted. "Maybe in triple S-rank hero system just operates on a level your mind can't comprehend." Rachel clutched her head, weeping. "No, I'm talking about what happened the other night. Back in that filthy dark cell." Flashback. Rachel had screamed, "Are you out of your mind?" She'd ripped the blanket off Choi, startling him out of a deep sleep. "Why did you accept his deal?" she demanded. Choi had grabbed her, shouting back that she was the one who had clearly lost it. He insisted everything was her fault. Suddenly, a glowing system window had flared to life, illuminating the shadows of the dungeon. System alert. Due to an administrative error, you have been awakened inside the Demon King's fortress by mistake. It feels wrong, like finishing your business only to find there's no toilet paper left. But do not despair, brave hero. You have been granted a unique chance to earn Officer Jun's favor. Task: learn to exploit your enemies for your own benefit. Completion reward: 100 hero points. Choi stared at the screen, a mix of suspicion and greed swirling in his soul. Back in the present, Choi was grinning ear to ear, shouting to the slaves with a newfound, villainous passion. "Let's move it, people." The anthem of the Demon King's Third Legion began. 𝑺𝒐𝒍𝒅 watched, unable to believe her ears. Could this quest be real? She realized only a high-ranking official could change mission parameters now. Why was Choi's task altered? Suddenly, Jack appeared, summoning Choi to Jun's private office immediately. Inside, Jack reported that slave productivity had skyrocketed. Choi began shamelessly buttering up the great Jun. He claimed it was nothing, just a normal human effort guided by Jun's legendary and wise leadership. Ding! A system notification appeared. Goal reached. Quest complete. You have earned 100 hero points. The rookie hero shop is now unlocked. Both Choi and the fairy stood frozen in pure shock. Sensing the momentum, Choi took a serious tone and requested permission to begin official slave training. Jun looked suspicious, but Choi confidently detailed his vision for an unstoppable and disciplined labor force. He painted a picture of powerful slaves working without laziness, total domination through peak industrial efficiency. Fortress construction would accelerate tenfold. Jun doubted humans could handle both intense labor and combat training. Choi smoothed it over with more flattery. Internally, Jun was absolutely beaming with pride and joy. Later, in the cell, 𝑺𝒐𝒍𝒅 wept. Her hero was now training slaves for the Demon King. Choi ignored her tears and whispered a new plan. 𝑺𝒐𝒍𝒅 looked at him with narrow, suspicious eyes. Was this another trick? Choi snapped, revealing his ultimate goal. He was orchestrating a massive rebellion. He calculated the forces: 300 slaves versus 500 demon soldiers. The odds were shifting fast. A human alliance base was nearby. The final pieces of the grand puzzle were falling into place. In the coming chaos, they could seek help from the alliance. Choi smirked like a true mastermind. 𝑺𝒐𝒍𝒅 finally understood Choi wasn't just a brute. He was a strategic genius with deep, hidden thoughts. She was deeply moved. The boy's eyes turned cold and serious as he prepared to check rewards. "Do you really have points?" 𝑺𝒐𝒍𝒅 asked. "You weren't just lying to me about the system, right?" "I told you!" Choi barked, pointing triumphantly at the glowing hero shop interface floating in the air. He reached out, praying for a legendary skill that could finally change his miserable, penniless fate. Finally, a skill window popped up. His heart hammered against his ribs with intense, nervous anticipation. Skill: enhanced breath, holding, and starvation resistance. 𝑺𝒐𝒍𝒅's jaw hit the floor in utter and complete disappointment. Choi turned red with rage. The other skills? Cooking, cleaning, and laundry. Hardly the tools of legends. "It's only a level 1 shop," 𝑺𝒐𝒍𝒅 laughed. "Earn more points to unlock the actually useful things." "Shut up, you scammer fairy!" Choi yelled as 𝑺𝒐𝒍𝒅 cried out for help in the night. The next morning, under a sapphire sky, the slaves gave a thunderous salute to their Demon King. "Begin the anthem," Choi commanded. The Third Legion's song echoed through the fortress walls with power. They sang of the great Demon King devouring humanity and ending all mortal suffering and pain. Watching from above, Jun felt satisfied. Entrusting Choi with slave training was his best decision yet. Suddenly, his doors burst open. Jack rushed in, face pale with terror. "Emergency! My lord! Report!" A massive human army was approaching fast. The Goblin Jack trembled with fear as he spoke. The 8th Division fell into a trap and vanished. Jun's heart sank as the gravity hit. That was his strongest unit. If they fell, the fortress was as good as gone very soon. "We must evacuate," Jack urged, pointing toward the horizon. Time had completely and utterly run out. Jun looked down at the training grounds, his massive silhouette casting a shadow of heavy resolve. The first rule of war: never lose a talented officer. Jun prepared to make his final move. "I'm going for Choi." "Go ahead, Jack." He kicked through the window, leaping into the air. Down below, Choi was still yelling at slaves, oblivious to the impending doom screaming toward him. He heard a strange noise. Was the training session being cancelled? The system notification flickered again. His stats grew slightly, but not enough for a riot. Then, a massive shadow loomed over him. Jun landed with a thud, his heavy hand clamping down on Choi's trembling and terrified shoulder. Choi turned, gasping. Jun's eyes glowed with a terrifying, blood-red light. The atmosphere turned deathly cold. "Move it. Come with me right now." Choi's eyes widened in shock. "Yes, sir." A strange voice echoed throughout the castle. The deafening roar of clashing steel filled the air as armored knights charged. Victory was finally within their grasp. The knights pierced through the gates, while the monsters could only offer a pathetic resistance. Suddenly, a voice commanded everyone's attention. It was the Red Nightmare standing tall in the distance. Hearing the call, Jun ordered the armored legion to storm the castle. The regular infantry retreated, leaving the elite knights to handle the slaughter. "Forward! Our glorious victory is waiting." Jun bellowed. Choi froze. Why were there human soldiers here? A wild thought flashed through his mind. A golden opportunity had arrived. Perhaps he could backstab this Demon King commander and escape back to human society. Suddenly, a knight lunged forward with a scream. "Die, Red Nightmare!" the knight yelled. Jun didn't even turn around. He reached back and grabbed the man's head midair. With a sickening Times crunch, he crushed the knight's skull like an egg. Choi watched in pure horror as Jun's eyes turned bloodthirsty. Jun slammed the body down with a brutal martial arts strike. The ground beneath them began to tremble under his overwhelming power. He unleashed a massive skill, creating a devastating shockwave that shattered the earth. A wave of pure destruction leveled everything nearby. Standing amidst the blood and rubble with glowing red eyes, he looked demonic. "Are you still alive, Choi?" he asked coldly. Trembling with fear, Choi bowed deeply. "Yes, I'll leave immediately." Meanwhile, chaos erupted at the ruins of the Mario's kingdom. Soldiers were sorting through the surviving slaves. One soldier approached a sturdy, middle-aged man. "Are you a warrior?" he asked. The man nodded hopefully. "Good. We are separating the warriors from the common prisoners." "Follow me this way," the soldier lied. The man smiled brightly. "Thank you so much." Another slave cried out. "Finally, we are being treated with some respect." Suddenly, a cold presence appeared. 𝑺𝒐𝒍𝒅, the supreme commander of the Dragon Empire's allied forces, stepped forward with a smirk. He received the evacuation report and laughed. "Very well, let's begin." The soldiers drew their blades in a single, fluid motion. "Execute every single one of them," he ordered. Swords were pointed at the panicked slaves. In the forest, Choi sobbed. "Goodbye, my second life. Goodbye, my grand adventure," he wailed. That monster had crushed everyone. There was no escape now. Red Jun urged him to stay sharp. This crisis was their only chance to infiltrate the Demon King's headquarters and gather intel. "Shut up, you liar," Choi snapped, but quickly pivoted when Jun woke up. "Nothing, sir. Just talking to myself." Jun felt a bit awkward. "I'm glad you're motivated. We're approaching the 3rd Legion's base. Keep your head up. Recruit. Once we arrive, I will officially induct you into the Demon King's army." Choi's face turned ghostly white. "What a true honor." At the fortress gates, the guards shouted, "Open up! Lord Jun has returned." The massive gates creaked open for their carriage. "Follow me. I'll take you straight to the commander." Choi forced a smile. "It's a privilege to meet them so soon." "Be careful," Jun warned. "One mistake before the commander, and you'll lose your life." Choi straightened up. "I'll stay alive, sir." They reached a luxurious suite. "Commander 𝒏𝒛, we have arrived to report." A sultry female voice answered from within. "Enter." A woman? A seductive figure in black high heels appeared, looking down at them. "Well, look who decided to finally return. You've grown even more muscular, Jun," the 3rd Legion commander purred. Jun bowed low. "I apologize for losing the fortress." Everyone expected a brutal punishment, but 𝒏𝒛 was surprisingly gentle. "It's fine. It was that incompetent 8th Division's fault, not yours." However, her face twisted into a demonic, terrifying expression. She looked like she wanted to skin someone alive for a bag. Choi felt the suffocating pressure of her aura. This woman was a monster far beyond anyone he had ever encountered before. 𝒏𝒛 lifted Choi's chin, her eyes flashing with a predatory curiosity. "And who is this little one you've brought back?" "This is Choi Hui-sok," Jun replied. "I brought him to officially join the elite ranks of the Demon King's army." 𝒏𝒛 lunged down from her platform, sniffing Choi with intense excitement. How cute. A talent handpicked by Jun himself? Choi panicked and shouted, "I'll do my absolute best." 𝒏𝒛 narrowed her eyes, noting his many obvious and pathetic weaknesses. She didn't think he was strong enough to survive the demon army. She turned her sharp gaze back toward Jun and asked. Forced back into his loser status, Hermid's icy indifference made the very air feel like lead. Under a suffocating pressure, unlike any human foe, Hermid hoisted Choi up, staring into his soul. Eyeing the new disciple with a mocking smirk, she demanded to know who this pathetic nobody was. Run reported that this was Choi Hui-sok, the chosen one meant to join the Devil Army. Driven by a twisted excitement, Hermid lunged down from the platform to inspect her new toy. How adorable, she purred. Terrified, Hui-sok vowed to prove his worth through blood and sweat. But Hermid saw the truth. He was riddled with weaknesses, far too fragile for her army. Even the one who brought him here knew Jun was walking straight into a deadly trap. Hui-sok trembled, desperately pleading that a human joining the Demon Legion was total madness. But Hermid shut him down instantly, refusing to waste a single second on a pathetic human. Suddenly, Hermit's form twisted into a fanged nightmare as a dark shadow surged from her body. Out stepped a pitch-black hound, radiating a terrifying aura that matched its sinister master's power. With a cold smirk, Hermit issued an order. Hui-sok would be her beast's personal servant. The creature let out a low, menacing growl, signaling that this boy was nothing but food. Hui-sok panicked. This wasn't a pet, it was a literal hellhound from the deepest pits of hell. Faking courage, he bowed low. I feel such elegant and overwhelming power from this magnificent beast. Hermit smiled with satisfaction. At least you have eyes to see greatness, she hissed at him. Her gaze turned lethal. But what's with that face? Are you unhappy with my precious pet? Terrified, he pledged his loyalty. Candidate Choi Hui-sok is honored to serve the great Bobo. She tossed the monster into his arms without mercy. That's exactly what I like to hear. He's a growing boy, she warned. Feed him well, or he'll make a meal out of you. Now, go get your uniform. Hui-sok stood tall, even as the beast clawed at his neck. They moved to the beast's quarters, a surprisingly lavish room built from the finest dark wood. Just as Hui-sok tried to soothe the monster to sleep, Jae-cho suddenly barged in, screaming. A hero quest? Here, in the heart of the demon army? He hissed, desperate for silence. Keep it down! If he wakes up, we're both dead meat. He signaled for absolute quiet. The system flashed. New quest, Caretaker of the Abyss. Survive by raising the beast's favorability levels. Reward, 200 hero points. Hui-sok realized his life depended on a monster dog's mood. He looked at the sleeping terror. So, I have to suck up to a commander's pet? Great. Suddenly, the door flew open. A prison guard started shouting for the human servant to appear. Choi Hui-sok bowed, hiding his nerves. He knew a goblin guard would only see him as trash. Great, he thought. A goblin supervisor. He's going to treat me like a slave, for sure. Where are the others? Hui-sok asked. The goblin laughed. Dead. Every single one of them, Jack the goblin sneered. From now on, you and I are responsible for feeding this nightmare. But before they could start, Bo lunged. The beast began savagely licking the goblin's head. Here, Jack screamed, grabbing Hui-sok's leg. Eat this fresh human instead. Leave me alone. Are you insane? Hui-sok roared, struggling to break free from the goblin's desperate, crazy grip. The goblin's eyes were wild. Shut up. Only one of us is walking out of here alive. Fine, then it's you. Hui-sok used his strength to flip the goblin toward the beast. Here's your snack, Bobo. Blood sprayed everywhere as the beast tore into the goblin's flesh. Jae-cho screamed, transforming into a butterfly to escape. This is too much. I'm out of here. She fluttered toward the ceiling, praying for safety. Hui-sok watched with cold, calm eyes. He opened his system shop. Item, giant primal bone. Price, 30 hero points. Absolute monster bait. 30 points for a bone? Expensive, but worth my life. He finalized the purchase instantly. Hey, Bobo. Want something better? He hurled the massive bone across the room like bait. The hellhound's eyes locked onto the item. He abandoned Jae-cho immediately, obsessed with his prize. Jae-cho landed, gasping for air as she reverted. Where did you even get that thing? Anyway, genius brain at work. Hui-sok smirked. I don't miss a single detail. Quest complete, baby. But Bobo's eyes turned red again. He growled, glaring at Hui-sok with terrifying new hunger. I don't think he's full, Jae-cho whispered. Hui-sok's blood ran cold. He wants fresh meat. Are you going to let him out? She panicked. Hui-sok's mind raced for a magic solution. Think, Brain, calm the beast. Suddenly, he screamed a single word at the monster. DCA. With a single word, the beast freezes. Bobo suddenly drags Hui away before he can even map the area. Hui pants, struggling to keep up. Easy, Bobo. If you want out, listen to me for once. 𝒓𝒏𝒏 scans the area, smelling no food. Suddenly, a guard sprints past, sparking a desperate idea. Why not ask that goblin? Hui waves frantically, rushing toward the demon soldier with a forced smile. Excuse me, could you lead the way? The goblin freezes, shocked to see a human wandering this fortress. Before the demon can react, Bobo lunges. He licks the guard like a predator, tasting his prey. Hui scratches his head. I am his new caretaker. Mind telling me where the kitchen is? The goblin stammers in terror. Kitchen? Left. He bolts instantly, leaving a stunned Hui behind. Why is he so scared? Is Bobo that infamous? 𝒓𝒏𝒏 nods, sensing the heavy atmosphere. Hui wipes a tear. I just need to find some meat. 𝒓𝒏𝒏 worries if this charade can last. Hui dreams of marrying a blonde noble, but reality hits. Bobo has vanished once again. Panic surges. Where is that cursed dog? 1 second of distraction leads to absolute disaster. Hui voice trembles. Bobo. If I lose him, it is game over. He searches the dark corridors. There. 𝒓𝒏𝒏 points. The mischievous beast is causing chaos in a distant corner. Hui rushes over in relief. My little treasure. You nearly gave me a heart attack. Bobo wags his tail, but his mouth is stained with blood. A chilling sign of what is coming. Commander 𝒔𝒎𝒏 is dead. Soldiers roar for vengeance. Hui stands frozen like a statue of ice. It was Bobo, 𝒓𝒏𝒏 cries. Hui grabs the beast and sprints as the guards close in. Are we dead meat? 𝒓𝒏𝒏 panics. They turn a corner, only to face a crushing dead end. The goblins leer, ready to feast on human flesh. Tonight, we dine on this intruder. Hui takes a deep breath. Focus. Courage is the only weapon I have left. He charges forward. Facing dozens of demons, Hui roars, How dare you? He thrusts Bobo forward like a holy relic. Do you know who this is? The goblins flinch, seeing only a monstrous, growling beast. How rude, Hui declares. This is Bobo. The name ripples through the crowd like a curse. Whispers erupt. The commander pet? It is a bluff. The tension reaches a breaking point. Still do not recognize him. Pathetic. Hui sets Bobo down. The lead goblin breaks into a sweat. The beast-hunting instinct awakens. Hui smirks. It is time. Activate. Feral mode. Go! Bobo, bite them. The beast lunges with a terrifying roar, dripping saliva and pure malice. Flesh is torn and screams fill the air. Hui does not even have to lift a single finger. Nothing but bones remain. Hui strikes a pose. Any other demons want to doubt the great Bobo? We are sorry, they chant. System. Hidden attribute triggered. Your prestige has increased exponentially. Credits? Nice. Suddenly, Hermit appears like a ghost, her presence chilling the very air. A cute recruit causing a riot. How interesting. Her voice echoes as the scene shifts to her office. In her luxurious chambers, Hermit laughs. Using my name and Bobo to survive? Bold move. Hui immediately kneels, bowing his head. I have committed a grave sin, my lady. Instead of rage, Hermit smiles. That was a compliment. You are far more clever than these idiots. She tilts his chin up. You are an enigma, human. Most would have died of fear by now. Hui shivers. In the demon army, force usually solves everything. This mercy feels like a trap. How would you like to become a law enforcer? Hermit proposes, catching him completely off guard. Hui hesitates. A law enforcer? With my weak skills? Are you certain? My lady? Not immediately, she clarifies. Survival in this hellscape is never free. There is always a price. She will not let him ruin her reputation. Hermit presents a deal. The rank advancement matches. I will protect you for 1 month. After that, you must defeat the opponent I choose. Each victory extends your life by another month. The path to battalion commander begins now. Hui gulps. And if I climb the ranks, will I truly be useful to you? Losing wasn't an option. Hermit's chilling joke echoed in my head. Fail, and you'll beg for the mercy of a quick death. The deal was sealed. Choi stumbled out like a ghost, realizing he was trapped between a rock and a lethal blade. Refusal meant execution. Hermit even handpicked his opponent. It sounded simple, but this duel was a literal appointment with the Reaper. 1 month. Could 𝑺𝒐𝒍 potential really save him? Rachel watched in shock, wondering why he was already saying his final goodbyes. Choi sighed, explaining that raw potential is just a seed, not the actual power needed to survive a slaughter. He mocked her role as a fairy assistant. How could she not understand the basics of this cruel, system-driven world? They entered a massive hall. Choi called out to the shadows, wondering if this was the kitchen or a fortress. A deep voice boomed. Chef Kung Kan appeared. Choi hesitantly asked for fresh meat to feed his companion, Bobo. Kung Kan didn't flinch, but his eyes dripped with disdain. He flatly refused Choi's request with a cold, mocking sneer. No handouts here. If Bobo needed meat, Kung Kan demanded that Choi prove his worth and take it by force. He pointed toward a rowdy group of butchers. They were hacking away at something that didn't look like normal livestock. Choi realized with horror they were cooking the remains of those who fell yesterday. These weren't chefs, they were monsters. Suddenly, a massive demonic boar charged. Someone screamed to kill it for dinner as pure chaos erupted in the hall. The beast was a blur of gore and speed. Soil and blood sprayed everywhere as a scream signaled another victim's end. Moron was dead in seconds. Rachel trembled, noting that this wasn't a hunt. It was a mindless, bloody massacre. Choi stared at the corpse, wondering who the real predator was. Voices hissed in the air, demanding blood for blood. Rachel begged to flee, but Choi knew better. Running from this bloodthirsty crowd was a death sentence in itself. He sensed the rising danger. Every nerve was on fire. He had to act now, or become the next meal. A voice called him out. Human! Choi flinched, bracing himself, thinking his turn to die had finally arrived. But Kung Kan stepped forward. With one brutal strike, the boar was finished. The hunt was officially over. Choi was stunned. He thought they were just mindless killers, but their lethal efficiency was terrifyingly professional. A demon reported the toll. 12 dead, dozens wounded. Rachel gasped at the casual disregard for such heavy losses. Kung Kan didn't blink. He simply ordered a rest before moving on to find the next unlucky prey. Rachel couldn't believe his coldness. Meanwhile, Choi stood before the demons, scratching his head as a plan formed. Escaping was no longer an option. Rachel's eyes welled with tears as she realized Choi intended to join the hunt. With your pathetic stats? She cried. Choi remained calm, his gaze fixed on the horizon of his own ambition. He explained his logic. Stats only climb through leveling. To grow, he needed to plunge into the heart of battle. Rachel admitted he was right, but where could a weakling find experience points in a literal war zone? Choi smirked despite her tension. Could he just wait for the right moment and steal the final kill shot? Rachel pointed a trembling finger at him. It was a dirty, cowardly tactic. But in this world, survival was everything. He didn't wait for her lecture. He turned away, thanked her for the confirmation, and sharpened his resolve. If the commander was serious, Choi had to reach a legendary level within 30 days. There were no other choices. He approached Kung Kan with a forced smile. The chef looked surprised, assuming the human had already bolted in fear. Choi froze, stammering a lie about his loyalty. He prayed the chef couldn't smell the cold sweat of his schemes. Under that heavy, judgmental gaze, Choi forced a laugh and made his move to join the demon army's ranks. I can't just watch from the sidelines, he declared. He wanted a seat at the table of the brave demon army. Kung Kan's eyes flared with a strange light. He whispered, human, making Choi fear he had pushed his luck too far. Then, a roar of laughter. Kung Kan loved the guts. Choi exhaled, thinking he had finally secured his path to power. But the joy died instantly. Kung Kan decided Choi would be the one leading the very next hunt into danger. It was a special honor usually reserved for elite veterans. To Choi, it felt like being served on a silver platter. Choi turned pale. How could a mere human lead demon nobles? The other warriors would surely tear him apart first. Before he could protest, a scout rushed in. The atmosphere shifted instantly as the demon delivered an urgent report. Monsters were invading. Kung Kan listened to the faint, eerie wailing echoing through the dark corridors of the hall, and Yuran was approaching. Choi asked if they were in peril, but Kung Kan seemed more annoyed than afraid. Yuran meat tastes like trash, the chef grumbled. He drew his massive blade, ready to turn the invader into scrap. Pull out your weapons. Urine stew is on the menu tonight. He felt a sweet surge of pride. Time for the finishing blow. 𝒓𝒎𝒏 channeled energy into her palms. Take this. A blue aura engulfed Choi. What is this? He muttered. A system window appeared. Strength and health increased for 3 minutes. 𝒓𝒏𝒏 smirked, but her joy was short-lived. Choi's fist slammed onto her head in pure frustration. Why didn't you use this sooner? He ignored her cries of pain. Move. That last hit is mine. Determined to dominate, Choi moved with godlike speed. He leaped high, preparing a devastating downward strike. Into the chaos he dove. Retirement plan activated. The system chimed. Target, 𝒐𝒏 slain. Level up notifications flooded his vision. 4 levels from 1 kill? He was electrified with excitement. I'll hit level 20 today. Nearby, a trembling demon raised its sword over a fallen 𝒐𝒏 corpse. As it prepared to strike, Choi intercepted. He slammed his elbow into the demon's gut with a grin. Oops, my elbow slipped. He laughed maniacally. Every last hit in this world belongs to me. He surveyed the battlefield of fallen monsters. 𝒓𝒏𝒏 walked up, looking completely drained of energy. Are you done? She sighed. Choi nodded. Good job. Every single monster here has been purged. But then, they saw it a gruesome sight. A horrific butchering feast was taking place before them. Crazed demons tore into raw, bloody flesh. It was a stomach-churning display of primal hunger. One demon roared, hoisting a massive hunk of meat. Choi stood frozen, like a deer in headlights. Suddenly, a hand slapped his shoulder. Hey, Choi, what are you staring at? A voice asked. The man spoke while chewing. Choi gasped. Chef? Are we actually allowed to eat military rations? 𝒏𝒏𝒏 replied calmly. This is a chef's privilege. Monster meat spoils fast if you wait. 𝒏𝒏𝒏 savored a bite. Do you think low-ranked soldiers like us ever get fresh meat? Good meat is the only reason to stay alive. 𝒓𝒏𝒏 watched, her face pale with utter shock. Privilege? They'll die from this, she cried. 𝒏𝒏𝒏 ignored her, holding out a piece to Choi. Eat up, Choi. You fought like a true warrior. You've earned this reward. Choi stared at the half-eaten meat. Was it worth risking their lives? He took a massive bite. It wasn't terrible, but the smell was pungent, and the flavor was incredibly bland. So chewy. This would never sell back in Korea. He watched the demons devour the tasteless meat. Why risk everything for this? Then, a lightning bolt of inspiration struck him. What if I could make it better? What are you talking about? 𝒓𝒏𝒏 asked. But Choi's expression shifted into something devious and calculated. A perfect plan formed. I'll control them through their stomachs. I'll become the god of cooking. 𝒓𝒏𝒏 stared in horror as he shouted, Open Hero Shop! He scanned the system interface. He had 70 points left. I'm investing everything into this skill. A wicked grin spread across his face. Blue light erupted from his hand. What on earth did you buy? 𝒓𝒏𝒏 yelled, panicked. Choi held up a spice jar. I'll show these fools true flavor. The system confirmed. F rank cooking unlocked. Skill cost, 50 points. MSG seasoning, 20 points. Memories of delicious Korean food flooded his mind. A salt jar? Are you insane? 𝒓𝒏𝒏 screamed. Choi just scratched his head with a smirk. Don't be so shallow. Seeing is believing. He sprinkled the magic powder onto the meat. This will give you a taste of heaven. As the aroma bloomed, Choi felt a surge of satisfaction. This was the real thrill. After a moment of preparation, the legendary dish was finally complete. Overwhelmed with pride, he felt like a god. He approached 𝒏𝒏𝒏, presenting his masterpiece. Chef, please taste this. 𝒏𝒏𝒏 hesitated. Thanks, but I'm stuffed. Maybe later? But Choi wouldn't budge. I poured my soul into this. Please, great 𝒏𝒏𝒏, just one bite. Relenting to the boy's persistence, the chef took a bite. Suddenly, his eyes widened in shock. This flavor! Memories of his forgotten childhood came rushing back like a tidal wave. He heard his mother's gentle voice again. Little 𝒏𝒏𝒏, do you want some meat tonight? Tears welled in the chef's eyes as he whispered for his mother. Choi smirked, leaving with a full sack of meat. Choi thanks the head chef. This high-grade food stays fresh for several days. Come back for more later. Choi enters the kennel, calling out for the beast 𝒏𝒏𝒏. Suddenly, 𝒏𝒏𝒏 lunges. Choi panics. quickly shoving a large slab of meat forward. The beast's eyes soften as it eats. Choi grins, telling it to enjoy the feast. He is now the master of beasts. Dumping the remaining meat, he promises more tomorrow. Bobo wags happily, fully tamed. A notification pops up. Affection levels have increased. Quest complete. Choi earns 200 hero points as a reward for his bravery. Everything is going as planned. Choi smirks. V asks if the task is finally finished. Choi nods proudly. He feels confident now, but he will save his points for later. Opening his status window, he reveals a mountain of bonus points. V asks why. Why waste 22 points? Choi snaps back, unsure how to even use them. He glares at the useless guide who skipped the tutorial. V stammers, feeling guilty. It is fine. V starts the guide, explaining the 4 core stats for a hero. Strength boosts power, stamina increases endurance, while agility sharpens reflexes and movement speed. Then there is mana, the source of magic. Choi asks about the charisma stat. V crosses her arms. Charisma is a hidden stat, only raised through intense training. You cannot use points there. Just balance your other stats for now, she advises. Choi clenches his fist. Is not raw strength usually the best way to go? What? V yells. Strength is okay now, but mana is crucial for late-game power. A mana-infused body crushes raw muscle every time. Choi wonders if he should switch. V suggests buying basic mana control from the point shop immediately to get started. It teaches you how to wield magic. It costs about 100 hero points. Choi searches the system interface, but finds absolutely nothing. The results are empty. V panics. That should be a common item. Choi sighs at his useless companion. I swear it appears in 3 weeks. Choi ignores her, collapsing onto the ground. Level 100. Finally. That took forever. V nods, noting the massive experience curve. Tears well up. No hero works as hard as I do. V just laughs. What are you saying? You are the most leisurely hero I have ever seen. Leisurely? Choi slams his hand down. Do you know how many times I nearly died? Most take 6 months to reach this level. I was just being friendly, she sulks. Suddenly, a demon messenger enters. Commander Hermit requests your presence at the office. Hermit reclines in her luxury chair. Welcome back, Choi. You look much better now. You have grown powerful. Your mana capacity has already doubled since we last met. Choi salutes awkwardly. I have just been focused on feeding that beast Bobo daily. You are growing too fast. Is it because of that hero leveling system of yours? Choi freezes in shock. How long has she known his secret identity as a hero? Do not look so surprised. I have known since the very first day we met. Suspicion clouds Choi's mind. Why is a high-ranking demon so interested in a hero? Take care of yourself. Now, do you know why I summoned you here today? Questions race through his head. Is this about the beast training? Or something worse? Hermit smiles coldly. You have not forgotten our little promise yet, have you, hero? Choi's gaze sharpens. Of course I remember. Hermit chuckles with dark, twisted delight. Suddenly, Hermit's form twists into a nightmare. You think I could not see your growth? Her razor-sharp claws brush against him. Work harder, or you will pay a devastating price. Choi sits there, paralyzed. He is caught in a game where one mistake means death. Her words echo in my mind. What truly thrills the audience? Is it a flashy show? No, it is the unpredictable variable. Choi sighs, his mind racing with thoughts of that monster. That beast likely feels the same. Choi realizes he has been baited into an impossible fight. Cornered and desperate, Vicho suddenly chirps in. So, are we just going to die now? Choi keeps his cool despite the annoyance. Quiet. I need to think. He opens his system. Scanning the interface, he mutters. To win, I must master every detail of my enemy first. Vicho panics, shouting, But we only know his name. How will you even recognize him? Choi ignores her, eyes locked on the hero shop. He finds it, the Combat Power Scouter. The system description glows. It measures physical strength, stamina, agility, and hidden mana levels. Cost, 50 hero points. Choi nods. He needs this legendary tool to survive the coming storm. Plan. Measure power, then hunt a boss of equal rank. Cho just sighs in despair. Hurry up before we get slaughtered, Choi retorts, Preparation is better than being a useless corpse. He equips the glasses. My combat power is 375. 𝒐𝒍 looks confused. Is that high or low? Should we check mine too? She fumbles with the strange devices. Choi crosses his arms, indifferent. Go ahead. Seconds later, 𝒐𝒍 freezes, her face turning pale. What? Is it broken? She stutters. Only heroes are strong? This thing must be a total lie. How can you be stronger than me? Choi scoffs. Maybe you are just a weakling. She hangs her head, tears streaming down. I used to be so powerful. Choi ignores her. Let us see Bobo's real worth. The system flashes, revealing a shocking number. 4,722. 𝒐𝒍 collapses. We are weaker than a literal dog. Choi steps outside, needing air. Time to gauge the power levels of the rest. He scans the crowd. Numbers float above their heads like death sentences for the weak. Most are fodder tier, no better than gold. Then, a thunderous roar shakes the very ground. Commander 𝒐𝒏 arrives. Choi freezes. Anyone over 10,000 is a high-level commander. 𝒐𝒍 flutters by, looking like a tiny moth. Choi asks, is my opponent a squad leader? Yes, Ken. They say he has the brain of a pig. 𝒐𝒍 replies with a shrug. Choi feels a glimmer of hope. If he is only level 300, I have a chance. But as he looks into the distance, his heart stops. A colossal orc is obliterating everything. He adjusts his scouter, focusing on the rampaging giant. The lens calculates the terrifying truth. 61,677. Choi nearly shatters his glasses in pure horror. 60,000? 𝒐𝒍 sighs, hovering nearby. Well, it was nice knowing you. You are definitely dead. Suddenly, a hero quest triggers. Increase combat power by 300 in 7 days. Choi smirks. The timing is too perfect. Is this system watching my every move? He takes a deep breath, eyes burning with resolve. Do or die. I will survive. Next morning, Choi bursts into the kitchen. Reporting for duty. I am ready to work. Kun-kan stares him down. His eyes fixate on the high-tech glasses Choi is wearing. Where did a brat like you get such stylish gear? Choi rubs his neck, grinning. Just picked it up. Kun-kan grunts. Youngsters and their toys. Now, get ready to hunt. Choi activates the scouter on Kun-kan. His blood turns to ice within a second. General class power? He looks around. Every chef here is a secret high-level combat elite. They fight monsters daily for ingredients. This kitchen is a breeding ground for legendary warriors. If I train with them, I can reach Ken's level. Choi realizes his path to victory. Choi drops to his knees, bowing low. Kun-kan, please, grant me a duel today. Kun-kan is stunned. A duel? You are strong enough for a human. Do not rush. Choi stands up, his aura shifting. He drops a cold threat to get his way. No meat for you? Kun-kan's eyes flared greedily. I've been waiting for you. Choi demanded a duel. The kitchen monsters whispered in dark, hushed anticipation. Challenging 𝒐𝒏? He's a dead man. Today marks his certain, bloody end. With 262 power, he's a beast. Should we kill him first? Silence, fools. Kun-kan barked. 𝒐𝒏, take it easy. Just play with him. 𝒐𝒏 nodded obediently. Kun-kan roared. Positions! Let the carnage begin at once. Choi's battle aura exploded. 𝒐𝒏 stood there, looking completely lost and confused. Like a lightning bolt, Choi lunged forward, throwing a devastatingly heavy punch. 𝒐𝒏 dodged, but Choi's survival instincts took over. He pivoted with explosive speed. Crack! A high kick landed. I've won countless life-or-death battles like this. One strike. Total defeat. What? Too fast. I couldn't see the hit at all. Choi stood stunned. One simple punch? Was he really that pathetically weak? Heading north to the Black Forest, Choi smirked with newfound, soaring pride. I crushed a high-level foe with one kick. My power is finally awakening. Level numbers are just illusions. True strength lies within my sharpened instincts. Chef, emergency! A scout screamed. A massive Talus swarm is just ahead. Kun-kan remained calm. Talus territory? Choi, are you hungry for some meat? The meat's prime, bones make stew. But they are a deadly, vengeful hive. Touch a baby, and you're dead. Choi laughed. Is the hunt over already? Kunkan drew a massive blade. Good meat awaits. Everyone, charge and kill. The monsters roared, slaughtering babies. Choi only saw a mountain of free experience. The slaughter was absolute. Kill them all. Leave no single hatchling alive. Choi pushed through the crowd. Out of my way. The experience is mine. He mowed them down. Ding! Level up. The system's divine chime sang out. A small butterfly cheered his lethality. You're a natural-born killer, Hero Choi. Choi laughed, loving the rush. But his joy was instantly cut short. A blood-curdling roar echoed. The Talus Queen arrived in a primal, murderous rage. Choi checked his glasses. Warning. Power level unmeasurable. Violent red alerts flashed. Unmeasurable? Choi froze. How many of her children did we just butcher? He trembled, looking for the chef. What do we do? We're dead meat. To his horror, the team had vanished. He was left entirely alone. Run for your lives! Kunkan yelled, abandoning Choi without a second thought. You irresponsible bastard! Choi cursed. The queen's roar was filled with pure agony. Panic erupted as the swarm closed in. Choi reached out in a final, desperate plea. Where's the chef? He screamed. The queen's roar sounded like a mother's grief. Shut up! Choi covered his ears. Suddenly, the butterfly shouted a frantic warning. The swarm surged, led by the queen. The hunter had finally become the hunted. Those too slow were devoured instantly. Help me! Save me! The dying screamed. Choi ran, heart pounding. If I stop for a second, I am a corpse. The screams of the dying followed him. I don't want to die yet. Exhausted, he found a massive cave. Is this place a sanctuary or a tomb? It's empty inside, the guide confirmed. Choi hesitated, staring into the dark void. The dark cave looked suspicious, but the forest was crawling with certain death. Choi steeled his nerves and ventured deeper into the unknown, silent darkness. Let's see what's inside, she whispered. The real nightmare had only just begun. Praying he wouldn't encounter any spiders, Choi froze as his eyes landed on a disgusting pile of green slime dripping from the walls. Touching the residue, he realized with horror that this was actual spider silk. 𝒓𝒎𝒏 cried out. Impossible. The chef said there were no spiders near here. Choi looked up and saw thousands of giant egg sacs dangling above. It's a nest, he shouted. Sensing immediate danger, he grabbed 𝒓𝒎𝒏. We're in trouble. We have to leave this place right now. He turned to run, but a massive spider blocked the path. 𝒓𝒏𝒏 screamed. The adults have arrived! Without hesitation, Choi bolted, his heart pounding. I see them. We need to get out fast. Panic surged through him as he realized the cave was a death trap. We can't stay here. Suddenly, he slipped on a pile of sticky silk and fell. What did I just step on? Scrambling up, he instinctively threw an egg at the spider. Take this as a weapon, you beast. Surprisingly, the monster didn't attack. It cradled the egg instead. Choi stood there, completely stunned and confused. Gasping for air, he watched the spider. 𝒓𝒎𝒏 hovered nearby. It seems to like that round thing. Choi looked around and saw mountains of Talus spider eggs. A sinister smile spread across his face. I see how it is. Grabbing another egg, he taunted the spider. Had enough yet, you monster? The beast hissed, but calmed instantly upon seeing the egg. Choi let out a dark, mocking laugh. Fine then. He raised the egg like a pro pitcher. Come and get it. Go fetch, boy. The egg flew through the air and the Talus caught it perfectly. Wow, you're actually pretty good. Even 𝒓𝒏𝒏 was impressed. Must be its monster instincts. Now, Choi, what's the next move here? Returning to the egg pile, Choi's eyes glittered with greed. I have hundreds of these left. Beast. He stared at the shattered eggshells on the floor and smirked. Oops. It broke. Guess you failed. Despite the danger, Choi laughed arrogantly. Maybe you're not so fast after all. 𝒓𝒏𝒏, more eggs. 𝒓𝒏𝒏 looked at him in shock. That was the very last one. Choi's face instantly turned pale. Wait. What? Suddenly, the Talus let out a bone-chilling roar that shook the entire cavern floor. It charged with insane speed. It's coming, 𝒓𝒏𝒏 yelled. Choi activated his hidden power just in time. It's tired from playing catch, Choi thought, focusing his mind. I can actually win this fight. The Talus lunged like a demon, but Choi unleashed his ultimate skill. Nirvana strike, he roared loudly. The blow shattered the spider's body. A system message flashed. Level up. Choi stood there, breathless. I actually won? Veko flew to his side, her voice trembling. Are you hurt? You were amazing. Choi leaned against the wall, exhausted. That was too stressful. We need to leave this cave. Veko giggled as a magical aura surrounded her. Choi watched in wonder as she began healing. Investing in your mana stat was definitely the right choice. Veko smiled, her hands glowing softly. You'll be fine, she whispered. I'll stop the bleeding. Choi nodded, feeling the warmth of magic. He quickly opened his status window to distribute points, satisfied with his newfound balance and power. A solid investment for the future, he muttered. Suddenly, a familiar voice called out from afar. Choi! He spun around to see Kung Kan emerging from the darkness with a loud laugh. You're still alive? Choi frowned at the old man's sudden appearance. What are you doing here? Kung Kan laughed. I found this cave by pure luck. This seems like a great shortcut, right? Choi sighed deeply. This is a talus nest, you idiot. Kung Kan's face turned pale instantly. A nest? Then this sticky stuff is eggs, Choi replied. We have to go before the mother arrives. But Kung Kan ignored the warning, his eyes fixated on a large egg with pure, greedy hunger. Talus eggs. These are legendary delicacies. High rankers would kill for these, and they're right here. Chef, snap out of it. We're in danger. But the old man just started slurping the egg. The pursuers are probably here too, he mumbled. I need my strength to face the queen. Let me enjoy this last meal. Suddenly, voices echoed from the tunnel. We're safe. Is that him? Look, the survivors found the exit. The group hurried toward the light, hoping for a miracle. Surviving on scraps was hard enough. But now I'm facing death? My heart is racing in pure panic. Is this really my final meal? Choi gritted his teeth. No. I refuse to fail this survival quest. I haven't even tasted my future wife's legendary cooking yet. I won't let it end here. I'm escaping. Cut to Hermit's study. A billionaire's sanctuary filled with deep red silk and the scent of absolute power. Hermit lounged in his throne-like chair. The crystal lights reflected his arrogance. Run entered and bowed low. Commander, I've returned. Hermit smirked, chin resting on his hand. Still as stiff as ever, I see. Did you complete the mission, Run? The air was heavy with tension. Run's voice was like cold steel. The Saintess has been captured as ordered. Hermit stood up, his face glowing with a sinister pride. I knew you were my best asset. Breaking their faith in 3 weeks is a legendary feat. He patted Run's head like a loyal pet. Suddenly, a frantic knocking shattered the peaceful atmosphere. Who dares disturb me now? Hermit's eyes flared with rage. Jack, his assistant, burst in trembling. Emergency report. Sir, the ingredient gathering team has been completely decimated. Jack's voice was a panicked whisper. That's common news, Hermit scoffed. Why are you making such a fuss? Jack's forehead was dripping sweat. This is different. Queen Talus appeared. Most of the chefs, including head chef Kung Kan, are gone. They are either dead or missing. Both Hermit and Run froze in shock. The situation was critical. Oh heavens. Jack's voice dropped lower. And what about our prisoner, Choi? Run's brow furrowed. Choi is missing too, sir. Run couldn't hide his worry anymore. His most important target had vanished. Meanwhile, in the cave, the scene was a chaotic feast. The creatures were binging on Talus eggs. A final toast to our doom. Kung Kan looked ready to accept his fate. Drink up, brothers. See you in the afterlife. Wham! Choi slammed a massive encyclopedia right onto Kung Kan's head. Snap out of it, old man. Choi's eyes burned with the fire of a true leader. Focus. What was that for? Kung Kan looked up, dazed. You were under a despair debuff, Choi snapped. I just cured you with my secret weapon. He brandished the monster encyclopedia like a legendary relic. Listen up, I found their weakness. Talus spiders are tough, but they have one fatal flaw. Target their heads. And remember, their body fluids are more flammable than oil. These eggs? Literal bombs. Their saliva is like fuel. One spark could turn this whole nest into a blazing hellscape. So, no fire magic inside. Choi turned to Kung Kan. Can you even use fire skills? I can. Kung Kan shrugged helplessly. But only basic tier flames. They won't hurt a Talus. My magic is too weak for these monsters. Choi just smirked. I don't need you to burn them. I have a much better plan. He picked up a Talus egg, eyes gleaming with determination. "Attention, everyone. I have an escape quest for you." He held the egg high for all to see. "We survived today so we can feast tomorrow. Don't you want to taste real luxury again?" The monsters stared, unmoved. Choi raised the stakes. "Follow me, and it's unlimited S-rank meat, a billionaire-level buffet for everyone who makes it out alive." That promise hit them like a lightning bolt. The atmosphere shifted instantly. "Let's do it." Despair was replaced by a hunger for survival. Kung Kan clapped Choi's shoulder. "A buffet, huh? Now that's a reward worth living for." His eyes sparkled with newfound hope. "What's the command, boss?" Choi stepped forward like a general. "The plan is simple. Once we start running, nobody stops for anything. We charge until we hit daylight. Move out." The group roared in unison. They sprinted through the tunnels like a stampede. "Talus swarm ahead," Choi warned, gripping the final egg. He was ready to pull the pin. Kung Kan's hands began to glow with magical fire. "I'm ready. Let's blow this place sky high." The flame touched the egg and times boom. A massive explosion ripped through the spider ranks. The Talus scrambled in pure chaos. Kung Kan's jaw dropped. "I can't believe that actually worked." Choi didn't slow down for a second. "The fire is spreading through their saliva. Keep running. This is our only chance." The escape from the depths had finally begun. I strategically left eggs inside. The collapse will wipe them all out. "Run," I roared. The distracted monsters couldn't even react in time. They scrambled in terror. "Don't look back. Just keep moving forward." I threw an egg to lure them away. Survival was the only priority. Clenching the last egg, I knew this was our final gamble. "Look! Light!" Vero pointed. I shouted for everyone to push through. Sprinting towards salvation, I clutched the egg like a lifeline. Just a bit further. The sound of frantic footsteps filled the cavern. "We're saved!" I cried as the exit glowed with blinding light. But hope died instantly. The Talus Queen blocked our only path. Her eyes burned with hatred. She saw her offspring in my hands. Her demonic rage exploded. Seekin trembled. "This is the end, isn't it?" I didn't flinch. My eyes locked onto the Queen with cold intent. Why isn't she attacking? I realized she feared for her last egg. I hoisted the egg high. "Listen to me." My voice echoed dangerously. "Chef, ignite this," I ordered. Magical flames erupted around the shell. "Do you see this?" I threatened. "Your last child is my hostage. If this blows, we all die. Your entire bloodline ends here." She gnashed her teeth, claws shredding the earth in pure fury. But the egg stayed her hand. I saw my opening and struck. "Move aside or we'll both vanish into nothingness. Step back now." She let out a cave-shaking roar but finally yielded to my pressure. I smirked. "I told you to get lost, you damn bug." Enraged, she lunged with giant claws. I didn't wait any longer. I ignited the egg's fuse. My heart raced. This was pure chaos. "Screw it." I hurled the flaming explosive deep into the darkness. The blast was massive. The entire mountain began to collapse violently. Rocks rained down. The Talus swarm shrieked in their final moments. "Is the cave falling?" they cried. I looked up, determination burning bright. "This is our chance. Go!" I screamed, pushing past the rubble. Suddenly, the system chimed. Level 5 reached. I froze in shock. "Move it." The girl grabbed me before I was crushed by debris. I grinned. The entire swarm was being converted into massive XP. "I'm the one who destroyed this nest. It's a total jackpot." I called for Jiho's help. "Let's get out of this hellhole." Power surged through me. My speed doubled as we neared the exit. Things got messy when the Queen returned, blocking us once more. I needed a distraction. "Here, take your precious egg," I yelled. As she lunged for it, I slid past the carnage and chaos. I accelerated, knowing survival was just a few feet away now. Suddenly, webs wrapped around me. "Spider silk? Are you kidding me?" A massive club swung. June appeared. "You okay there, partner?" With one titanic swing, June crushed the Queen. The battle ended. We survived. The Demon King's chefs finally returned to the castle. I entered Bobo's room. She hugged me tight, finally at peace. Crawling back from death's door, the main character credits that brute for their miraculous survival. "Assassins will hunt us next," she warns. Why is he grinning in this life-or-death situation? He laughs it off as the nightmare ends. They've emerged far more powerful than ever before. I've surged 75 levels from that cave collapse. The system screen confirms his meteoric rise. Level 200 reached. His stats skyrocketed, yet the main character remains strangely unsatisfied. Level 200 feels empty, he mutters. His combat power sits at only 350. To match the elite, he needs 600 power. He needs both strength and true magic. Pure force isn't enough. To crush his enemies, he must master the art of mana manipulation. She sighs deeply. Sounds simple, but the reality of magic is a far crueler teacher. Didn't you use magic at the Talus Cave? She asks. He's stunned, his mind racing. Him? Magic? He recalls that faint, fleeting experience. It felt too weak to even count. Yet, the terrifying power she sensed back then tells her a hidden monster is awakening. Suddenly, the door slams open. Ridon bursts in, eyes searching. Choi, are you in here? They jump in shock. Follow me, Ridon commands. The commander demands your presence immediately. They enter the chambers. Hamis reclines lazily. A private meeting? That's not like you, Ridon. Ridon cuts to the chase. Commander, give me permission to personally train Choi in combat. Choi is speechless. Hamis leans forward, eyes narrowing. And why should I allow this, Ridon? Ken is evolving into an elite leader. At this rate, Choi will be slaughtered. But he has hidden potential. I want to see the legend this boy might become. Choi's eyes bulge. Why is Ridon betting on him? Surely, the commander will reject this. Unexpectedly, Hamis laughs. Fine. He's yours. Choi stands frozen, while Ridon bows in gratitude. If you're done, get out. I have work. Choi pops his head back in to thank him. Thank you for your overwhelming generosity, Commander. The heavy doors click shut behind them. Hamis smirks. Choi has already doubled his power since their last meeting. How fascinatingly fast. It's impressive, yet slightly annoying. If Ridon helps him, Ken might actually be in trouble. A cruel idea forms. Perhaps I should give Ken a gift to keep things fair. Scene shifts. This is my private training ground, Ridon announces. Choi marvels at the arena. The commander must truly adore Ridon. Ridon senses it a massive ocean of mana within Choi. The boy is a diamond in the rough, unaware of his own power. Basics are needed. 4 days remain. No time for games. Today, he will learn through the baptism of pain. Ridon's fist blurs toward Choi's face. Choi freezes, his heart stopping in pure, raw terror. Focus! Ridon roars. The blow connects. Choi's face contorts as he flies backward in agony. Are you insane? He screams internally. You promised to train me, not kill me. Use your mana or die. Ridon strikes again. Choi desperately raises his arms to survive. Ridon readies a kick. He notices that Choi's gaze has sharpened into something far more dangerous. He lacks a special body, yet his reflexes match those of a battle-hardened veteran knight. His soul is different, Ridon realizes. This isn't luck. It's a terrifying, primal combat instinct. He trusts that instinct. You made a bet with the commander. You'll never beat Ken alone. Ridon unleashes a devastating punch. The shockwave sends Choi flying hundreds of meters away. Better to die here in training than be humiliated in front of the whole world. Choi coughs blood, his body screaming. He's not joking. One more hit, and I'm dead. I haven't even married yet. No kids, no legacy. Ridon leaps high into the air. Block this, or it's over. This is your moment. Survive or perish. He raises his fist. I am dead, he panicked. One more hit, and it is over. No wife, no kids. Run screamed. This was the ultimate life or death quest. He had to block it. Ancient power surged in his fist. A swirling aura of blue mana erupted as he prayed for a divine miracle. Suddenly, a cataclysmic explosion rocked the training grounds. The earth shattered into a web of deep cracks. Choi lay broken and motionless while his familiar hovered in a panic. June stepped through the smoke with a chilling gaze. You actually suppressed that mana. Did you feel the power awakening? Choi weakly raised a shaking thumb to celebrate his survival. He truly believed the heavens had finally answered his desperate plea. Jun gripped his arm with terrifying strength. Keep this up and you will be invincible. Then, he surged dark mana into him. Choi's body seized as the corrupt energy took hold. His eyes bulged in agony before he vomited a spray of crimson blood. Jun suddenly realized his fatal mistake. Wait. I forgot that dark mana acts as a lethal poison to mere human beings. He scooped up the dying boy and rushed for help. Hold on, Choi. This world is governed by a strict hierarchy of power. Dark mana crushes ordinary mana, while holy power stands above the rest. It is a ladder of absolute divine and demonic energy. Humans wield basic mana, and demons command the darkness. But holy power belongs only to those who serve the celestial gods. The holy state of Gadran used this divine strength to launch a great war. Now, they control every religious sect with iron. They chose those who heard the divine whispers to become saintesses. Meanwhile, deep within the Demon King's dark fortress, goblins gathered in the dim hallways to whisper. Is the legendary successor to the saintess really locked inside that room? Inside sat a silver-haired beauty with a haunting gaze. She was 𝒓𝒎𝒏, the saintess captured by the feared demon army. She never praised to her god. The monsters mocked. Can a woman like that truly be a holy maiden of light? 𝒓𝒎𝒏's eyes remained cold and hollow. Prayer is a lie. This dark prison feels more like home than the cathedral ever did. Suddenly, June burst through the doors carrying the unconscious Choi. Saintess, wake up. You must heal this human at once. 𝒓𝒎𝒏 flared with immediate indignation. How dare you? Who do you think you are to give orders to me, demon? Within the darkness of his mind, Choi felt only shattering pain. My head. What has that monster done to my body? Visions of past tragedies flashed before his eyes. I should be holding her hand. Why am I trapped in this nightmare? He blinked his eyes open to see 𝒓𝒎𝒏's ethereal face. Am I dead? Is this a silver-haired angel coming for me? Believing he had passed away, he began to ramble. I guess I really died this time. I failed to change anything. Tears streamed down his face as he looked at her. Goodbye, angel. I would rather be a lonely mage than suffer again. 𝒓𝒏𝒎 listened in stunned silence as he babbled. He prayed for his friend's peace while facing what he thought was death. She was a devil in an angel's mask. His body shook with trauma. I have one last wish before I am reborn. If you plan on making me a hero again, will you at least marry me first? He muttered with fading breath. 𝒓𝒏𝒎 stared down at him with pure, icy disgust. How utterly pathetic. You have truly lost your mind, little human. June shook him violently until his eyes cleared. Choi, you are alive. Choi froze, realizing he had not actually died yet. June hugged him so tightly his ribs nearly snapped. Stop! You are going to kill me for a second time, you brute. Reality finally crashed down on him like a hammer. Wait. Did I just say all those embarrassing things to her face? June turned to the saintess with a worried expression. Is he fully recovered? Is the human boy out of danger now? 𝒓𝒏𝒎 sighed heavily. Not even close. The dark mana is still rooted deep within his veins and refuses to leave. I have no idea what will happen to him next. Hearing those words, Choi broke down into a fit of despair. Can't you just burn the darkness out with your holy light? June demanded. 𝒓𝒏𝒎 shook her head in frustration. One wrong move, and he dies instantly. We can only wait for the poison to fade away over time. June felt a pang of guilt for his recklessness. I am sorry, Choi. I will make it up to you with training. Choi began to tremble with absolute terror. Please. No more. You don't need to waste time on a nobody like me. 𝒓𝒏𝒎 watched them leave with a look of pure intrigue. A human trained by a high demon? Just who is he? Back at the training grounds, Choi collapsed in the dirt. He was surrounded by dozens of others who had also failed. Bobo dragged him back to the house with a wagging tail. Thanks, little guy. At least you didn't eat my dinner. If I didn't have to worry about you, I wouldn't endure this, Choi sobbed. Everything was going wrong in this life. The weight of the day finally broke him. The dark mana was still burning, and his dignity was completely gone. They finally reached the safety of the house. Choi crawled across the floor, his voice shaking with pure desperation. Am I going to die? Is this really the end for me? He looked toward Saiko, hoping for a single word of comfort. But Seicho was already crying harder than he was. His image as a legendary hero had been completely destroyed. Jace tries to regain composure, wiping her eyes while blaming herself for everything. The dark mana and his brush with death weigh heavy, yet her self-pity feels hollow. Choi is speechless as she calls herself a devilish sinner, deserving eternal torment. Turning consoler, Choi pats her shoulder with a smile, trying to lighten the mood. Just kidding. You're not that bad, he says, but she only wails louder. Choi panics. How do you comfort a crying saintess? This is driving him crazy. 3 days fly by. At the training grounds, the atmosphere is thick with tension. Marios watches Choi writhing on the ground, promising healing only after his hellish training. "You look beautiful today," Choi wheezes. Marios merely glares with murderous intent. The saintess winces in disgust. Choi quickly shifts to a more polite, formal tone. As her glowing touch heals him, Choi seizes the chance to make a request. He scratches his head, asking if she would pray for his survival in tomorrow's battle. "Could you watch me fight?" he asks. Marios stands frozen in absolute shock. Tournament day arrives. Choi enters the arena, shouting, "Greetings, you filthy demons." The crowd erupts in mockery. A mere human aiming for commander? Pure insanity. Choi takes the mic. "I am Jace, your host for this legendary takeover." Hamas watches from the shadows, loving the chaos and the electric atmosphere. "Who wins?" Hamas asks. Jun bets on Choi's extraordinary talent and sheer willpower. Hamas offers a deadly wager. If Choi wins, Jun continues his elite training. And if he loses? Jun asks, sweat dripping down his face in dread. Hamas chuckles darkly. "I thought you were certain of his absolute victory?" Her aura turns lethal. "If he fails, you must execute him with your own hands." That is the price of his words. Jun grips his chair, teeth bared in agony. He nods, accepting the grim responsibility as Hamas's excitement reaches a fever pitch. "Excellent! It has been ages since I felt this thrill," she exclaims with delight. Back in the ring, the announcer's voice booms, introducing the day's desperate contenders. Seeing MC Jace challenged for leadership sends shockwaves through the demonic stadium. Choi remains calm. He feels his power peaking, his heart steady as a rock. Choi Hook. His name echoes alongside a system status window filled with growth. His evolution is undeniable. New traits and skills have pushed him beyond human limits. System. You have mastered Jun's combat style, a martial art of pure destruction. 8% mastery? It is low, but the raw power within him feels legendary. Seeing Mary in the stands fuels his resolve. He has everything to gain today. A date with the Saintess is on the line. He cannot afford to lose. Suddenly, a roar shatters his focus. "Hero, what are you daydreaming about?" His opponent, Ken, steps forward, a monstrous orc with fangs sharp enough to rend steel. The orc's bloodlust is suffocating. Choi realizes Ken has evolved into something far deadlier. This monster is a true threat. Even Jun is trembling with visible anxiety. Hamas grins. There is no retreat now. The path forward is paved in blood. Ken unleashes a terrifying roar as the battle for absolute domination finally begins. System alert. Ken's power level is 15,570. Choi grits his teeth. Breaking 10,000 in days? Even Jace is stunned. Fear? No. These overwhelming odds only stoke the fire of Choi's warrior spirit. He clenches his fists, ready to shatter fate. Nothing in this world comes easy. The signal sounds. Choi lunges forward, like a lethal bolt of lightning. The massive hammer descends with crushing force. Choi remains sharp, knowing a single hit means game over. Ken's attack is heavy but telegraphic. Relying on his heightened instincts, Choi effortlessly evades the lethal strike. Leaping high, he centers his breathing. He just needs one opening, and the system delivers it instantly. Choi pours every ounce of mana into his counter. This strike is designed to shatter Ken's defenses. A direct punch aimed right for the skull. An explosion of dust veils the entire arena floor. As the smoke clears, Ken still stands. Blood leaks from his eyes as he lets out a roar. The monster won't budge. Suddenly, Choi's survival instincts scream something is coming from his blind spot. He spins around just as a lethal energy blade whistles past. That was a hair-thin escape. The hammer nearly grazes his spine. Choi vaults into the air, narrowly dodging the follow-up swing. The situation is desperate, but Choi isn't shaking. This bloody beast is just another boss to conquer. He plants his heels, circulating his energy. Every fiber of his being focuses on the next move. He's survived the depths of hell before. Fear has no place in the heart of a king. He remembers his master's voice. Martial arts isn't just raw power, it's mana-meeting perfect technique. A true warrior can pulverize mountains with a single fist. The ultimate destructive force is within reach. His master's warnings echo. You cannot defeat a monster like Ken without true killing intent. Without the will to kill, his strikes are merely empty gestures. He needs to evolve right now. Ken swings again, but this time it's different. A terrifying, shimmering aura coats his massive hands. Choi stops hesitating. He locks onto his target, igniting a lethal intent to end this fight. Two titans collide. The shockwave ripples through the air, creating a spectacle of pure, raw power. Choi's fist sinks deep into Ken's gut. This is the pinnacle of the instant destruction technique. Like 1,000 blades cutting at once, the run style freezes the enemy in their tracks. The commentator screams in disbelief as Ken is paralyzed. Is the underdog actually going to win? The crowd gasps as Ken falls backward. A massive, gaping wound has been carved through his chest. The referee raises his hand. Choi has claimed victory in this impossible trial on the stage. Holding up a blood-stained hand, Choi stands amidst the cheers. Yet, his expression remains grimly shocked. He feels the internal damage. Using this forbidden skill again might actually tear his body apart. He did it. He pierced the beast's heart. The arena erupts as the impossible becomes reality. Choi steadies his breathing, doubting his own eyes. Is the nightmare truly over for him now? Suddenly, blood erupts from Ken's wound. To everyone's horror, a crimson crystal begins to emerge. The giant's body begins to levitate. Choi freezes. How can a man with a hole in his chest move? Jun watches from the sidelines, disgusted. A forbidden curse was used to keep Ken in the game. Even the enemies acknowledged Choi's genius. He mastered high-level combat in an impossibly short time frame. Choi stands paralyzed by the supernatural sight. The boss has entered a second, cursed phase. The curse grants Ken immortality, but it won't last. Choi just needs to survive the timer. Final judgment is coming. This endless battle of wills is entering its most dangerous stage. Choi takes a combat stance, but his body betrays him. His leg suddenly turns to stone. Seizing the moment, Ken lunges. He grips Choi's throat and slams him into a jagged rock. Brutal strikes rain down on Choi's face. Each blow feels like a sledgehammer breaking his resolve. Using a desperate grapple, Choi locks Ken's arm. "Die," he screams, refusing to let go. Red electricity surges through his veins. The pressure is suffocating, pushing him to the very brink. Just as despair takes hold, a familiar voice echoes in his mind. "Get back up, Choi." He looks toward the stands through blurred vision. There she is, signaling to him with urgency. "You can win." Those 3 words ignite a supernova of determination within his broken body. The quest isn't over yet. As long as the enemy breathes, the warrior must keep fighting. He won't fall in front of her. A brilliant blue flame erupts, signaling his final awakening. A system prompt flashes in his mind. If your bones shatter, coat them in mana armor. Mana control surges from E to D as the system confirms his successful skill evolution. Without hesitation, Choi leaps high, gathering massive mana to strike the Saintess with overwhelming power. With a devastating blow, he crushes the enemy's skull, screaming for the target to die. Lunging into the air again, his invisible shockwaves tear through the opponent's internal organs instantly. A fatal cry echoes as the enemy collapses, completely defeated by Choi's ruthless combat style. Radiating pure dominance, Choi maintains his energy, vowing to erase any threat with absolute pressure. His final punch shatters the ground, leaving the entire arena frozen in sheer disbelief and shock. Hermit watches in confusion, asking if this was taught, but Jun remains equally baffled. The battle ends in a pool of blood while Choi gasps out his victory rewards. He demands a high-stakes date, a luxury dinner and a private hotel room for 2. Hermit warns of the danger, realizing they are dealing with a literal monster in human skin. Choi smiles at the chaos as the scene shifts to the next morning of exhaustion. Waking up with a terrified scream, he reels from the massive drain on his life force. Yuicho explains he's in the recovery room while the pet Bobo watches him curiously. Still processing the brutal fight, Choi asks for a full breakdown of his legendary victory. She details how he conquered the arena before the Saintess used divine magic to heal him. Choi immediately summons his system interface, desperate to see his newly upgraded power levels. Every skill has evolved simultaneously, while Yuicho complains about being ignored during the healing. He ignores the chatter, focusing on his jump to level 12 and his soaring attributes. Pointing to his screen, he reveals his mana manipulation has reached an elite tier 2. Shocked, she admits she has never seen anyone's mana control evolve so rapidly before. Choi sighs at her reaction, sensing something mysterious hidden within his luxury bedsheets. She warns that mana is the hardest skill to level, yet he defies all logic. Their talk is cut short by a mysterious letter delivered from the depths of 𝑺𝒐𝒍 prison. Under the stars, Marios gazes into the distance, haunted by the memory of his power. She realizes he mastered mana in 3 days, a feat taking nights, weeks of training. This isn't a normal human. He possesses a hidden potential that threatens the world's balance. Despite his bizarre personality, she smiles, sensing his aura might change her tragic destiny. Clinging to his coat, she prays that he is the divine answer to her suffering. Whether it's raw talent or fate, she realizes his victory has rewritten her entire future. He is the hope she was searching for, the one who broke her chains forever. Maintaining her noble grace, she prepares for a secret mission under the cover of night. A demonic guard blocks her path, demanding to know the saintess's intentions at this hour. Softly, she requests a walk. While elsewhere, Choi reads a secret invitation with excitement. The letter asks for a sunset meeting, making his heart race with SSS rank anticipation. He stammers, realizing this secret date is his ultimate reward for dominating the battlefield. Moonlight bathes the courtyard as Choi stands ready, the air thick with mystery and magic. Trembling with nerves, he wonders how a billionaire-tier hero should act on a real date. His fairy companion scolds him, calling his clumsy excitement a total disaster for his image. She warns him to stay inside rather than let the world see his social awkwardness. Sudden footsteps approach, and Choi's heart stops as he senses a powerful presence arriving. Panicked, he stuffs the fairy into his pocket to hide her loud and angry protests. His excitement turns to pure dread as he sees the figures emerging from the darkness. 2 massive giant guards accompany her, their glowing red eyes fixed directly on him. Glancing at the guards, Choi wondered who these stunning men were. Yet, 𝒏𝒎𝒻 remained perfectly calm. "They're my keepers. I can't go out alone," she sighed. Choi turned away, faking a dramatic, tragic tear. "Of course, Lady 𝒏𝒎𝒻. A saintess held by the Demon King needs a divine escort, right?" 𝒏𝒎𝒻 tilted her head, intrigued. "Let's walk." Moments later, they were strolling under the pale moonlight. Choi tried to act cool, but 2 demon guards hovered behind. Their red aura chilled his very soul. His mind raced. Talking to a saintess was hard enough, but enduring 2 killing machines? Pure torture. Sweat poured down his face. He desperately searched for a joke to break the suffocating tension. 𝒏𝒎𝒻 finally broke the silence. "Sir Choi," she began, her eyes locked onto his trembling form. "You're a hero, right?" Choi's body turned to stone. How on earth did she figure that out? She smiled gently. "In our world, only heroes and demons have black hair. It wasn't a hard guess." She giggled. "You seem to have many questions. Go ahead, ask me anything you want." Choi's face flushed red. He stammered, searching for words. Could someone like me possibly?" 𝒏𝒎𝒻's expression soured. You're quite bold." Suddenly, a scream shattered the peaceful night air. Choi jumped as 𝒏𝒏𝒻 charged in like a cyclone, gasping for air as if he'd run a marathon. "The commander needs to see you immediately. Follow me." Choi's reaction? It was anything but graceful. He burst into tears instantly. "Now? Right now? But I just started my romantic moonlight walk." 𝒏𝒎𝒻 rubbed her temples, regretting every life choice. Could she really trust a pathetic guy like him? Cut to Hose's office. She sat behind her desk with a wicked, predatory grin that screamed danger. "I love watching you fight, Choi," she mocked. "Returning from death's door time and time again. Our great hero has a persistent life thread indeed." Drenched in sweat, Choi stammered out a weak thanks. She interrupted him, pointing a sharp, manicured finger. "Do you remember the proposal I made you?" Choi's voice cracked. "Yes. In exchange for fighting your chosen opponents, you promised to protect me." Hose nodded, her smile widening. "Exactly. And I said you'd become a director under my command." Her grin turned savage. "The director title was a joke. I didn't think you'd actually survive this long." She leaned forward, eyes gleaming with hidden intent. "However, I've decided to change my mind." Choi blinked, utterly confused. Change her mind? What did that even mean for his survival? She pointed at 𝒏𝒏𝒻, who froze like a thief caught red-handed. "𝒏𝒏𝒻, didn't you call him a talent?" 𝒏𝒏𝒻 looked like he wanted to vanish. Well, yes, Lady Hose. He has immense potential." Hose ignored him, her smile growing. "So, instead of another duel, let's try something much more interesting. A talent like yours shouldn't be wasted as a mere captain, right?" Choi's cold sweat began to pour. Hos didn't wait. The food supply company took a massive hit. The meat supply for commanders is critical. If we don't fix this, we'll be eating each other soon. So, from today, you have a new title. You are now the cooking squadron commander. Choi's brain short-circuited. Wait, what? Me? A cook? Hos slammed a hand on his shoulder, grip like iron. Pick any chefs you want. Restore the kitchen. Choi's face contorted in agony. It felt like a cruel cosmic joke. He stammered out a messy response. I will do my absolute best. The scene shifted outside where Joro watched with pure mockery. So, the hero is now the demon army's head chef. How humiliating. Are you happy now? Choi hissed through gritted teeth. I love it so much I could just die. His sarcasm was dripping. He slammed the kitchen doors open. You're still mad. But if we do this right, we can win. Ignoring the sass, Choi adjusted his power scouter. Fine. Let's start the important work of a cooking commander. Inside, a hideous goblin was doing something shady, looking like he'd just chewed on rusty nails. Choi frowned. Hey kid, what do you think you're doing? The goblin turned with pure, ugly disdain. The meat-grilling slave has finally lost his mind. Choi's eyes twitched. Slave? Did you just say slave? Before the goblin could blink, Choi's kick connected like a falling meteor, sending him flying into the pots. Choi loomed over him, radiating pure, terrifying fury. From now on, you'll call me Commander. Listen up. Gather every single one of you right now. In an instant, a ragtag mob of goblins materialized. This messy formation looked less like an army and more like the world's worst talent show. I scanned their stats. Average combat power, 2,000. Pathetic. But why are there so few of you? I expected 300 soldiers, yet barely 20 remained. Where did the rest of these idiots go? If I fail this quest, I'm dead meat. Choi sighed, eyes cold. Does anyone here know who I am? You're Choi, one shouted. The BBQ machine, yelled another, grinning like a fool. A tasty human snack, the third cackled. Before the words even left its mouth, Choi launched a strike. His boot slammed into the goblin's chest, pinning it to the wall like a badly hung painting. Dusting off his shoulders, he glared at the survivors. I'm your commander, you morons. Remember that. He shoved an official decree into their faces. By my authority as the head of the culinary squadron, from now on, you treat me like a god or you'll beg for the sweet release of death. Now, explain. Why is the head count so low? A goblin stepped forward, trembling like a leaf. They went hunting without orders and got eaten. Typical. No brains, just hunger. Absolute bottom-tier trash. Final question. Choi growled, eyes narrowed. Who is the best chef in this entire dump? They all pointed at the goblin pinned to the wall. Choi's eye twitched. You mean that half-dead loser? They nodded frantically. Fine. Rito is now vice commander. Any objections? Silence reigned. Good. Dismissed. Choi collapsed onto a crate, massaging his temples in frustration. A kitchen this size needs 200 men, and I have exactly 24 hours to find them. His eyes darkened as a wicked plan took root. There was only one way to solve this problem. The next morning, Choi stood ready with a devilish grin. His companions hovered nearby, sensing the coming chaos. He scanned the horizon like an apex predator hunting for the most gullible prey available. Found them. Without a word of warning, he surged forward, delivering a brutal kick to a goblin's jaw. The creature hit the dirt with a heavy thud, eyes wide with sheer, unadulterated shock. You're a chef now, Choi declared with the aura of a tyrant who had never known the word no. The goblin blinked, its brain struggling to reboot. You crazy human. Do you have a death wish? Before it could finish, Choi's foot connected again. The goblin slumped over like a puppet with cut strings. Don't be loud. Congratulations on being my first recruit. Choi sighed dramatically, looking down at his victim. Do you know what this means for your future? The goblin groaned, its face a mask of agony. Choi's smile turned truly terrifying. It means you have seniority. You understand military hierarchy, right? Join now, and you'll be the one giving orders instead of taking the beatings from above. Go find 5 friends to serve under you. Let them be the ones who suffer in your place. If everyone gets 10 hits, you only get 1. That's a VIP deal just for you, recruit. He gently lifted the goblin's bruised chin. 1 kick versus 10. Isn't that a magnificent bargain? Meanwhile, a high-ranking demon commander was enjoying a meal, blissfully unaware of the impending disaster. Choi had just kidnapped his elite soldiers to peel potatoes in a greasy kitchen. The massive Commander Doris arrived to demand answers. Choi realized he had kicked a hornet's nest. Messing with Doris was a death sentence. But after a tense, private meeting in the shadows, the beast actually agreed to hand them over. He knew the mistress favored Choi far too much. However, there was a catch. "You must take this soldier too," Doris growled. A mysterious, one-eyed masked figure named Usaru appeared. Choi checked his stats, and his heart nearly stopped. Combat power. Unmeasurable. Something was definitely wrong, but the squad was finally complete. "Here are the kitchen rules," Choi announced, unfurling a scroll so long it made their heads spin. "Cooking unit to the left, combat unit to the right." Suddenly, a small demon brat began to protest. Choi didn't waste words. He sent the brat flying with a single kick. Entrance exam failed. Next. After that brutal display, nobody dared to breathe. If there are no more objections, let's begin. Time to harvest some fresh meat. Our hero heads south, but the forest feels eerily silent. His team is a joke. Only the demon dog and Usaru have power. The rest are useless. The system's fairy suggests a ruthless tactic. Use the weaklings as live bait. Choi loves it. Numbers 6, 16, and 32 step up. Will his old Earth luck hold out today? Usaru hurls the baits into the wild. Surely one of them will lure a monster back. They ignite smoke signals to mark the zone. Jackpot! A giant beast is charging right in, but Usaru gets overexcited. He pulverizes the prey into mush, leaving nothing left to cook. After a grueling hunt, success! Choi serves the beautiful 𝒓𝒎𝒚 a platter of perfectly seared meat. One bite is all it takes. The flavor is otherworldly, unlike anything she has ever tasted. The plate is licked clean instantly. However, Choi still can't squeeze any secrets from her. When asked about her life after escaping, her eyes dim. She has nowhere left to go. Meanwhile, in 𝒓𝒏 capital, the church is panicking. Their saintess is still trapped in darkness. The high priest snaps. He orders an elite shadow unit to infiltrate the dreaded Black City. With Commander 𝑺𝒐𝒍𝒅 leading the charge, the rescue mission begins. Stay tuned for the next chapter. Don't forget to like and share. Your support keeps this epic manhwa journey going for more.